asked me to tell the story of when I encountered Bigfoot. I told the story in a recent live stream, and he said, make a video on it. It's interesting. And I said, alright, let's go. The year was 2013, and me and my dad were on a hunting trip to Rifle River, Michigan campground, a 70,000-acre campground. It was supposed to be fun and exciting. The trip, but little did we know, it turned into a horrifying nightmare. We stayed in a rustic cabin with no electricity or running water, and on opening day of our trip, my dad stepped outside the cabin door and shot a deer, and the deer went down, but immediately got up and ran off. Even though it was a direct hit, we didn't find any blood. We were puzzled and scared, wondering what could have happened to the deer and where did it go. We searched, and we seen no signs. That's when I suggested that we get a blood tracking light and come back at night. As we entered the woods, our hearts racing, we could hear the rustling of the leaves and the crackling of the twigs underneath our feet. We searched for over an hour, and just as we were about to give up, we saw something that made our blood turn cold. We came to the edge of a lake, and on the other side, we saw 3 sets of red, piercing eyes staring back at us. It was a creature unlike anything we had ever seen before, standing about 7 feet tall. It was Bigfoot. The creature didn't move, but it looked right through us. And when it did move, it blinked its unhuman-like eyes. In the unnatural human environment of the woods, it sent chills down our spines. We were beginning the feeling of being watched and hunted. We made a collective decision to leave the woods, but as we ran for our lives, we felt as if we were being chased and watched. We could hear the sounds of something heavy following us, and as we looked back, we could see the creature's massive figure in the distance. The fear was so intense that we dropped our flashlight and had to go back to retrieve it. As we reached for the flashlight, we heard screams and yells that sounded like a woman being murdered. It made no sense, but we knew that something evil was lurking in the woods. After we left the woods, we went back to our cabin only to find that it had been vandalized, the porta potty was flipped over, the picnic table was smashed, and all of our coolers were destroyed. Giant footprints with 5 toes were all over the place, confirming our worst fears. We packed our bags and left 2 days early, but the terror didn't end there. We could still feel the pressure of the creature, and it haunted us for years to come. The experience was absolutely horrifying. That is what happened in the woods in 2008, and it was horrifying. We encountered Bigfoot. We were chased out of the woods. We were demoralized by a creature we couldn't see or fully embrace, but we knew it was there. Grown men with guns became boys with sticks. Something was in the woods that night. Something chased us out of the woods that night. Something followed us back to our cabin, and as we slept, destroyed not only our cabin and our picnic table, but destroyed the porta potty, destroyed the entire environment in which we were staying in. The footprints all over the ground, and left us completely puzzled as to what we actually encountered. We were terrified for a long time afterwards and still talk about it to this day. We usually refer to the red eyes that we seen on the other side of the lake that were staring at us for a while. We don't actually know what we seen, but we know what we felt. There was rocks being pelted at us as we were running out of the woods. And after doing research and looking into the backstory of Bigfoot and things and stuff that people report, rocks are a huge red flag. And on top of that, the campgrounds being destroyed are also a big red flag. You see, us as humans left the woods thousands of years ago, but Bigfoot never did. And when we step into his playground, he plays by his rules. And he doesn't want us there. Especially when we're hunting his prey. You see, we go for sport and for fun, but he goes for food and for life. And I feel that night we stepped on his feet. And I feel that night he taught us a lesson. He said, hey, this is 70,000 acres here, boys. And you're not having this. So get the hell out. And we did. And we left early. The park ranger contacted us about the damage that was left on the campsite after a night and a half. After basically camping there for over 30 years and never having our campground left like this, they were shocked at the story we told. But then, when we came back the next year and we rebooked a campsite called the Pines, the park ranger came to us and said, hey, I want to talk to you for a second. We said, all right. And he told us there had been a bunch of reports of campgrounds being destroyed and disturbances. And that he wanted to apologize to my dad because he thought, you know, these are people we deal with for a long time, and he basically wanted to make right. And my dad said, we told him the story about the woods and they getting chased out, and he said, I'm here all the time. I'm here all the time. But he said it in a way that was like, yeah, we know what you're 100%. 100%. And he said, don't worry about it. I feel the exact same way you do. And I was in my 20s at the time, and I said something in the effect of, well, what are we going to do about this damage and these things happening to these campgrounds? And how are we going to address the situation? We can't constantly be having things destroyed. And he looked at me and said, it's out of my control. It's something I can't control. We're not allowed to do anything per government policy. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you didn't know? I said, what? He said, Michigan policy is we can't kill Bigfoot and we can't shoot him. He's a protective species. I said, what are you talking about? So I looked it up. It's actually true. Bigfoot is considered a protective species in Michigan. And you can look it up yourself. So what I took away from that was, he knows what it was, and he knows what it is. But there's not a damn thing we can do about it. Anyways, I'll see you in the woods.